Welcome to our third webinar. This time we are organizing our webinar together with our partners Yotpo and Giveit. And this time it will all be about building a community and making it work. First, I would like to say that we'd like to invite you to interact with us during and after the webinar by tweeting with hashtag #communitywebinar, or you can ask your questions through the panel on the right-hand side of your screen. Those who want to re-watch this webinar can find it on our website and on our Facebook page tomorrow morning. But first, let me introduce today's speakers. My name is Bertram Melink, and I'm the marketing manager at SEO Shop. I will be hosting this webinar with Justin Bodlian, content and social marketing manager at Yotpo, and Thijs Muller, commercial director at Giveit. So this is the SEO Shop team smiling in the picture. SEO Shop was started in 2008 by Ruud Stelder and Dennis Kuipers, who initially created the online store software to sell electronic cigarettes in the Netherlands. This became a huge success, which made them believe that they could also sell the software to other online merchants. And they chose the name SEO Shop because it was highly optimized for search engines. Well, in 2010, the platform already had more than 50 integrations with payment providers, shipping companies, and several marketing tools. And in that same year, SEO Shop launched the template editor that allows customers to update the HTML and CSS files of their stores. Well, in the years after, SEO Shop also launched its own API, so developers could build on the platform. And this way, SEO Shop could also work together with developers who wanted to basically build new integrations and sell them to our merchants. 2013 has been the year for international expansion. We recently set up a German team to cover the German market, and we will roll out in other European countries before the end of this year. Our goal is to become the #1 choice for online merchants who want to start an online store anywhere in Europe. Our platform has more than 150 integrations, all localized for the European market, with 14 languages and an order management system. We have more than 3,500 customers in the Benelux and Germany, including big brands like Philips, Dance for Life, Fairphone, and recently also from Van Gogh Museum. So that's a short introduction on our platform for those who don't know SEO Shop yet. Today I want to talk about building an online community, and I would like to cover the following topics. First, I want to give a few examples of successful social media campaigns performed by our customers. Then I'll give a few examples of big brands who have successfully used social media to build a community. Then I'll cover some theory on how to create an effective social media message, followed by some statistics on social media channels that can help you to choose the channel that's right for you. And I will end my presentation by explaining the Facebook algorithm that can help you reach more people on Facebook. So how are SEO Shop customers building their community? My first example is from the baby site. The baby site was created as a gift. If you would buy a birth notice card at Richard van Leeuwen's family printing company, you would receive the site as a gift. You would then be able to upload pictures, write a diary, register height and teeth developments of the baby, and a lot more. Well, that concept became very popular, and even people who never ordered a card wanted to have a website. The baby site then started sending a newsletter to its members and started posting pictures of babies and children on its Facebook page. And this resulted in 37,000 likes in only 7 months' time. And now Van Leeuwen has also opened an online store with SEO Shop and is trying to convert those likes into sales. My second example is from Dierenvilla, a reseller of cat scratching posts. At the beginning of March, they only had around 1,200 likes on Facebook. Then they started a Facebook campaign that allowed customers to come up with their own designs, and they created like and share campaigns. Well, in order to increase the exposure, they also mentioned this on their website, in order confirmation emails, and in their newsletters. And this led to more than 15,000 likes in only 6 months' time. And whenever they announce the winner of one of these like and share campaigns, they see an immediate boost in sales. My last example is from Beats and Basics, who are using offerpop.com to organize photo contests on Facebook. If you're interested in their campaign, you can also find information about it on their blog. I actually added the URL at the bottom of this slide, so you don't have to search for it. The result of their campaign was quite good. In only 2 weeks' time, the number of likes went from around 660 to over 1,190. And 75 pictures were sent, and over 1,200 votes were cast. Also, the number of visits in the online store doubled, and online purchases have increased. Well, one of the reasons for success was the use of fan gating, which means that people have to like their page before they can actually vote. And the app also allows people to easily share their pictures through the social media channels. So how are other companies building their community? Well, here's an example of a very successful Facebook campaign by ModCloth. ModCloth posted 2 dresses that they wanted to sell and asked their Facebook followers to choose the dress they would want to buy. The post didn't just generate many likes, but also many reactions containing the article number of the dress that Facebook followers wanted to buy. And this enabled ModCloth to choose the dress that would most likely generate the best sales result. So in other words, instead of using Facebook as a channel to promote existing products, they actually used Facebook as a means to find out which product they should invest in. So I've been talking a lot about Facebook, but here's an interesting example on Twitter. Pillsbury is an American retailer that sells cakes and cookies. And when they started their online store, they decided to promote it through Twitter and came up with an interesting campaign. Twitter users could write a quote, including #strudelart, which would then be written in sugar icing on a cake. The picture of this cake would be sent back to the customer, and the customer could then pick up the cake in the store. Well, the hashtag became so popular that it actually made it to the trending topics. And because of this, they could reach a big audience, and this even resulted in 55,000 likes on Facebook. So the successful Twitter campaign also affected another social media channel. So how do you create an effective social media message then? Well, I've been looking for a model that could explain this best and came across the website of Brian Solis. According to his model, it starts with listening to your audience. So it means that you need to know who your audience is, where do they hang out in life and on the web, what unites them, what incites them, and what keeps them up at night. So if you know that, you will be perceived by your audience as someone they can actually trust and rely on. So going back to the examples I gave you before, Richard van Leeuwen, the owner of the baby site, he knew that his audience would like seeing baby pictures on Facebook, so that's what he posted. But listening also means knowing your competitors. So this means you should look at your competitors and find out which message they communicate, and then ask yourself the question, is my message better than theirs? So to keep track of this, you could use several tools. One that's often used is actually called Feedly. When you've defined your context in a previous step, you can build your message, which is step 2 in the model. This can be anything from infographics, slide shares, videos, or simple messages. And you can also present a partially developed idea to your audience to refine it into a better idea. Or as ModCloth did, you can ask your audience which products you should actually create. Step 3 is all about being part of the conversation. For instance, when you are giving a presentation, you need someone to check what's happening on Twitter in the meantime, which is actually exactly what we're doing at the moment. This makes your followers feel part of the conversation. Broadcasting, step 4, is about choosing the right social media channel. People spend time on Facebook to relax, at least most of the time, while Twitter and LinkedIn have more links with business. So broadcasting also refers to spreading the ideas of others and not just your own. So you can have great ideas, but if you don't have a community, your ideas might not get that far. Measuring, step 5, is probably the most important step, and it's not only about the number of people you reached, but finding out if your message sticks. You can use tools like TweetDeck, Google Analytics, and Facebook Statistics for this. Then last step, step 6, is about using these insights to modify your message and connect more deeply. So with these 6 steps in mind, you should be able to create an effective social media message. So how does social media translate into sales? Well, in order to answer that question, I read a paper by Vision Critical called From Social to Sale. Unfortunately, the paper doesn't actually give a simple answer to the question, most likely because there isn't actually one simple way to social media success. But it does share some interesting insights into the various social media channels. So while the model that I described in the previous slide helps you to formulate the right social media message, these insights might help you to choose the right social media channel. Well, one thing is clear anyway, social media does help in generating sales. 4 in 10 social media users have purchased an item online or in-store after sharing or favoriting it on Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest. And half of social media related purchases take place within 1 week of sharing or favoriting the purchased item. Choosing the right social media channel starts with finding out which medium is often used by your audience. Let's say you are targeting women aged 35 to 54 years old. Then you may want to consider Pinterest. However, if you're targeting men in the same age group, you may want to consider Twitter. And if you want to target both men and women, your safest bet will probably be Facebook. Some products do very well on Pinterest, others do better on Facebook or Twitter. Pinterest users like cooking and drinking, DIY and crafts, health and funny posts, and they're not that much into technology. Facebook users like to share information about health, cooking and drinking, and funny things. Fashion and beauty is not that popular, which is actually remarkable if you think of the ModCloth success story. And Twitter users like health info, so funny posts also, and human interest, and also technology. So depending on the product you sell and the audience you are targeting, you can choose a different social media channel. So let's say you choose Facebook, then you need to know how the Facebook algorithm works in order to get your message delivered. This algorithm consists of 3 main parts called affinity, weight, and decay. Affinity is your relationship with the user. If they've clicked your links, liked or commented on your post in the past, then the algorithm called EdgeRank, it assumes they like your message and will want to see more of it in the future. Weight is how much priority EdgeRank gives to your post based on a post type. Photos and videos take top priority. Links are second, and plain text status updates are at the bottom end. However, interaction from other users can affect this as well. A text-based status update with 50 likes and 10 comments will be more likely to show up in the newsfeed than a photo with no engagement at all. And the last step, time decay, simply means how old is your post. The longer your post has been on Facebook, the less likely it will be to show up in a user's newsfeed. Again, however, if a story comes from a user or page they interact with often, it will be bumped to the top of their timeline, regardless of its time decay. So this brings me to the end of my presentation. I hope to have given you a framework that will help you in choosing the right social media message and the right social media channel. I would now like to welcome Justin, who will share his view on building a community and making it work. So we're now going to switch to Justin.
Thank you, Bertrand, for the warm welcome, and hello to everybody. Thanks for joining us. My name is Justin Batlian. I'm the marketing manager at Yotpo. Yotpo, in a nutshell, is a free plug-and-play product review solution for e-commerce sites. We help online merchants generate tons of product reviews and make it easy for them to share these reviews to their social channels. And this helps bring more traffic to their sites, and this increases sales. So today I'm going to be discussing, for my section of the webinar, how to build a community. So let's see what I'm going to discuss today. I'm covering 5 topics. The first topic is, why do you need a community? Now, a lot of people might have a debate if social media is worthwhile. Do I need it? I'm going to give you some reasons why I think you do. Then I'm going to talk about how to get started. My talk today is really aimed at those who are not yet in social media or have just started and have their doubts about it. I'm going to give you some frameworks and discuss ways to make it really, really easy to get started. The next thing I'm going to do is discuss with you my own personal framework called POST, the POST framework. And this is basically a framework to get started with social media. I'm going to talk about the social mindset. After you've decided to give social media a chance, the kind of mindset, the business mindset that I think you need to have. And lastly, I'm going to discuss a mantra which I really hope everybody watching this webinar will adopt, which is leave no, engage, and left behind. So let's get started. So why do you need a community today? There's actually quite a few reasons why I believe you need a social, online social community and social media presence, but I'm going to touch on 3 reasons. The first one is that no matter what business you're involved in the people business. Whatever service or product you're selling, you're dealing with people. And online marketing is really about getting in front of your target audience, creating context with them, and this way you're bringing people to your landing pages, to your site, and they'll become consumers. So that's really the first reason. You need to be where everybody is online, and research has shown, and it's growing all the time, that around 30% of our time spent online is on social media networks, and therefore you need to be there. Other research has shown that about 90% of small businesses today have some form of social media presence, which means that you need to be involved and you need to join the club, essentially. The next reason is money. If you run your social media campaigns and your activities on social media is done correctly, social media can be extremely profitable for businesses. What I like to mention, though, is that a lot of people see social media as purely the ROI. Like, what is the ROI of social media? How much is a like worth? How much is a tweet worth? And what a lot of people do is, by looking at it in this way, you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. Because a better way to look at it is, because of the power of social media, your messaging, your brand, the context, the value that you can create can spread virally and reach a lot more people than once possible in the past. And if it's done correctly and more people are getting to know you and visiting your site, basically what it does is it drops your customer acquisition cost, and this makes your business as a whole more profitable. If you start looking at social media from a business perspective on those lines, you'll be doing a lot better than a lot of businesses out there. The third reason, if you can see in my picture here, I've got a fish and like a school of fish following. And basically what I wanted to mention is, because 90% of online businesses today have some form of social media presence, you kind of forced, because of the market, how the market's become, to have to come on board. Because your competition's out there and they're using these platforms to reach your target audience, they're slowly eating away at your markets and gaining more and more market share, while you are still debating if I should be there or not. Often with online marketing trends, if everybody does something, you're forced to do it as well. And I really, really believe that this is the situation in social media. It's no longer a trend. Most businesses are there, and therefore you need to be there as well. Okay, so getting started. A lot of the rules that I'm going to discuss and guidelines that I'm going to discuss in my presentation are really black and white. And a lot of people might be thinking, why would you give such strict rules and direct rules when the e-commerce space is so wide and has a lot of niches? And the reason I do that is because I think if you're first getting started with social media, it's better to have direct rules that you can follow to just get the ball rolling. And when you're feeling more comfortable and you're starting to see some returns, then you can start experimenting with other things and really letting loose in the social media world. So really, if you're getting started and you're not sure where you should be or what you should do, what I recommend is starting on 2 social networks. The first is Facebook, and then on Twitter. You don't need to be on a 3rd or a 4th or a 5th. A lot of people join too many networks and they spread themselves too thin and they lose focus, and it really kills their efforts. You should start on Facebook, create a Facebook page, and start building a community there. And use Twitter the same way, and do a lot of outreach on Twitter, which I'll cover later in the presentation. So now that you've decided to join these 2 networks, it's important to start getting your community going. And what often happens is people will get their friends and family to join, and they've got their 50 fans and followers, and then they start posting content and links and interesting stuff, and nothing happens. And the reason for this, and Bertram kind of touched on it earlier, is Facebook's EdgeRank. And basically what the EdgeRank does, to really make it simple, is that if you take around 16% of your your fans on Facebook, these are the about 16% are going to see your content. It means that all the work you're doing to posting interesting content, around 85% of people are not seeing it. So if you think about this for a second, if you've got 100 fans on your Facebook page, every time you post a piece of content, only around 15 to 20 people are seeing it. Now, it's very, very difficult to have a highly engaged community when you've got such small numbers to work with. So the next thing I wanted to mention, which a lot of people are kind of against, very anti, is the concept of spending money to build a community. Now, I understand if you're really starting out a business, you don't have a large budget, this can be something which you're not very happy about. But really, what I recommend businesses do is investing small amounts of money, anywhere from $50 to $500, run a few Facebook campaigns. You'd be surprised at how cheap it can get to get a like. And because of Facebook's targeting mechanisms with its ads, you can really hit the nail on the head and get really high quality fans to join your community. Once the numbers start growing and you've got in the few hundreds, you pass the 1,000 mark, you'll start to notice that the engagement happens much better because there's more people out there, more people are seeing your content, and once you get the community going, it will help grow itself. It's very difficult to do that when you only have a few fans and followers. So the next topic I'd like to discuss is introducing you to my post framework for getting started with social media. I understand that social media can be really, really tough for a lot of people, and I developed this framework to make it really, really easy. So the post framework, it's an acronym, POST, and it stands for Pillars of Content, Outreach, Scheduling, and Timing. And the reason I wanted to spell post is so it's easy to remember. It's something that will always be in the back of your mind. But notice that the order here is not necessarily, there isn't necessarily an order here. You want to do first the pillars of content, then your timing, then scheduling, and then outreach. You don't have to work in this order. But what I'm going to do is cover each of these and keep them in the back of your mind when you work in your social media. And I really hope that it will help you do better work with social media. So the first one, which I think is really key as part of the framework, is pillars of content. And the idea here is because people are consuming so much content online, you kind of, like I mentioned earlier, you're forced to kind of come on board and do this as well. And there's a war going on online between brands and posting of content. And what I believe you should do is you should be posting regular high quality content with the aim of creating value to your community. What a lot of e-commerce online merchants do, and I've checked, I see a lot of online stores, a lot of Facebook pages because of my work with Yotpo. And what a lot of people do, and it's the wrong way to approach social media, is they use their Facebook and Twitter accounts almost like a newsletter, where they're just constantly bombarding their community with buy this, check this out, this is my product, this is my promotion. And what happens is a lot of people, what you should really do is put yourself in the shoes of your customer, and think of if every day you're receiving and basically an advertisement saying buy my product, you're going to just filter that all out. We've become very, very good at filtering things out online. So what I want you to do is to try and have the mindset of creating value for your community. And what this is it's quite tough for a lot of people to understand, because it's kind of almost like a foreign concept. We've been brought up in the in the advertising era where everything's pushed onto us, and we believe, we assume that this is the way to approach things. But this is not really the best way to do it. So what I've done is I'm going to give you an example of how to use the post framework and create your pillars of content. And basically what the pillars of content are is creating 3 to 6 categories of content which you can be posting on a regular basis. What I recommend on Facebook is 1 post a day, maybe 2. On Twitter, it should be between 4 and 10 times a day posting. Now, that might sound like a lot. I'm going to explain to you and show you tools later in the scheduling section of the framework to make your life a bit easier. But for the time being, let's have a look at an example, and I think this will help explain it. So the example that I have for you is a store, an SEO shop store called Go Lifeline. Now, Go Lifeline, they sell outdoor gear and clothing, mainly to the Dutch market, but also in Germany and in France and other parts of Europe. So if we had to, for a minute, try and imagine that we're the owners of Go Lifeline and we want to post things to our community, what kind of pillars of content could we have? So here you've got 5 pillars which I've came up with. The first one is tips for the outdoors. Now remember, we want to create value, right? So we have a small community of people who we've targeted with ads, or maybe it's friends or people that know our brand. And these people are going to be people that like the outdoors, that are adventurous, that are outgoing. So what kind of things would these people like to read? What kind of value can we bring? So tips for the outdoors is a very, very obvious one, and it's very, very easy to find this kind of content and post on a regular basis. The next pillar would be hiking trails and special events. This is also something that this community would find of high value. You could use Google Maps. I'm sure there's other sites out there which list special events. And by posting this kind of content, over time, the community will come to realize that the Go Lifeline is showing them all the upcoming events. It's really the place to go to keep up with events around the outdoors and the wilderness and things like that. The third pillar, which I thought would be useful, would be staying healthy and fitness. Tips about fitness, how to protect yourself when you're in the outdoors, how to lose a bit of kilos so the hiking's easier. The people that like the outdoors generally are health nuts and like this kind of stuff. So that could be a third pillar. The fourth pillar is a bit more controversial, and a lot of business owners might think, this is crazy, but what about the idea of promoting complementary products? Not necessarily your direct competition, but maybe other stores out there which have products which you don't necessarily sell, and that you promote to your community. Not only would your community be very, very happy about this, but because you're promoting products which bring high value, it's unlikely that your community is just going to leave you and join these other sites. They're going to stick around, they're going to be thankful, and if you're smart about it, you can make great partnerships with complementary businesses out there, and get maybe some affiliation fees, get some rev share from the community that you help bring these partners. The fifth pillar is humor and entertaining, and basically what I recommend that online businesses do is that one pillar be kind of out of the box, more in the idea of being humorous or entertaining, really outside of the niche entirely, just to mix things up a bit and to help with engagement. The idea is that if you're posting a funny picture or a trailer to an upcoming movie which you believe your community might find interesting, it lands up creating a lot more shares, likes, and retweets, and this can really help grow your community. So the next aspect of the post framework is outreach. Now, once again, I just want to remind you, it doesn't necessarily have to be in this order, but if you remember these main guidelines, I think working with social media would be really, really easy. So Twitter, I mentioned, starting on Twitter, and I think Twitter is one of the most unbelievable, amazing platforms out there for social media. And the reason is because it's the easiest social network out there for you to go out and actually engage with people who are your potential customers. And I want you to have a look on the slide. You'll see 5 examples that I've taken off Twitter. Go to twitter.com/search and run searches of keywords in your niche. And I promise you, if you look hard enough and you work hard enough, you'll find people out there who you can engage with. So just as an example, you've got the second one here, PJ Killam, I love the outdoors, and I've said with a picture. Go Lifeline could easily go there and tweet them saying, it looks like an amazing location. Would you mind sharing with us? We want to share it with our community. And what this will do is PJ Killam now knows about you. And you didn't try and sell him anything, right? So you're starting to create context as a brand rather than as an online store. And that's important to understand. You want people to humanize your brand and see it as an online presence which you can connect to. And you can continue to do this all the time. You can do as much outreach as possible. It's a lot of work, but it allows you to create real connections. Now, on Twitter, it's very, very easy to do outreach. Their search is really incredible. Facebook's a bit tougher, but thanks to Facebook's introduction of the hashtag in their search, it's becoming much, much easier. So I took 2 examples which I found. I ran a search for the great outdoors and hiking, and these are 2 posts which Go Lifeline could easily engage with. They can simply in Facebook select to use Facebook as their brand so that they're responding as their brand and not from the manager of the account, and engage with these individuals. The next part of the post framework is scheduling. Now, there are many tools out there for scheduling posts and tweets on social media, but my favorite by far is Buffer. Buffer is an unbelievably useful tool for those in online marketing, and I really welcome all of you to check it out by visiting bufferapp.com. You have a free account, and if you really have a lot of accounts, a lot of stores, you can also upgrade to their pro, but their basic free account is more than enough. And basically what Buffer does is it allows you to connect your social media accounts. And once you've done that, for each account you can schedule times. Now when you're first getting started with Buffer, don't think too much about the times. Obviously don't post set time slots like in the middle of the night, but don't think too much about when exactly should I schedule times for my posts to go out. I'm going to cover timing soon, and that will help you with optimizing these times. But when you're getting started, just set up the slots. Remember, you want 1, maximum 2 a day for Facebook, and between 4 and 10 times a day on Twitter. That's a good guideline for getting started. Now, once you've set up the times, you can go and you can install their apps on Chrome, within Twitter. They have an amazing selection of integrations. And whenever you find content which you think would be useful to your community, that fits one of your pillars, you can simply click on their icon in Chrome, and you can click then and select your social media account and click on Add to Buffer. And what this will do is we'll add it into your Buffer account, and when the time comes, Buffer will send that post out automatically. And what this does is it means that instead of spending many, many hours a week finding content and scheduling posts manually, you can maybe twice a week for 20 minutes or half an hour in the morning browse some of your favorite sites, find some good content, and then add all of it to Buffer, and then Buffer will do the rest. So the last part of the post framework is timing. Now, my recommendations in regard to timing, and when I mean by timing, I'm talking about when you should be posting and tweeting on the social networks, is there's a lot of content out there that talks about this topic, but what I recommend is ignore all of it. Ignore everything you read. And the reason is because seeing is believing. Everybody's got a different community based in different locations, and the content out there can be misleading because sometimes it's only related to a specific niche. So what I recommend you do is forget about everything, ignore everything you read, and start testing and optimizing it yourself using the methods that I'm going to show. So the first one is with regard to Twitter. So if you've got a nice community going on Twitter, you can use a free service called Twitterland. And what Twitterland does is basically you enter in your Twitter handle, and it gives you a whole bunch of statistics and data on your account. So you can see in the slide, this is the demographic information and top followers for Yotpo. And you can see that over 50% of our followers are in the States, quite a lot in the United Kingdom, Canada, and Israel. And it even gives you the breakdown by city. What's also really cool is it shows you their skills, which can be very interesting for certain businesses. Now, what this can do is it shows you very clearly where your community is located, and this can help you with setting the right times for posting. So we can see that we have quite a lot of followers in New York and other parts of the States, so therefore we know we should be posting our content in the evenings in my time. I'm based in Israel. The evening's our time, so the people in New York and other followers will actually see our content. Now for Facebook, within the Facebook admin you have Facebook Insights, which is very, very similar to what I showed you on Twitterland. It gives you a breakdown by country and by city, the number of fans, and this once again can help you work out the best time to post content. Now, once again, there's research out there about people being very active in the mornings and in the evenings. What I recommend is to check this for yourself, and you can do that by using Buffer. If you're using Buffer, you can set up and you can actually test this. You can change your scheduling, semi-frequently, and you can see how this affects your engagement. So you can see in the slide, this is one that I've taken from the Yotpo account, that you can see clicks, mentions, favorites, retweets, and also likes and shares for Facebook. And you can see the amount of engagement, and you can see also the time when it was posted. And you can use this and run a few small experiments over time to see which times are the best for posting. So guys, really that's the end of the post framework. I really hope it's useful. I think it's quite a fresh concept, and I'd love your feedback on it. So feel free to contact me, justin@yotpo.com, or via Twitter @yotpo, and let me know what you think about this framework. Also wrote a blog post about it on the Yotpo blog, which is blog.yotpo.com. I'd love to hear your comments and to hear feedback on people that have adopted the framework. Okay, so the next topic I want to discuss is what I call the social mindset. And the idea is that a lot of online merchants, once they've decided to adopt social media as part of their online marketing strategy, is they think, all I have to do is open up Facebook and Twitter and post content regularly, and that's it. When really it's the wrong mindset to have. Once you've decided that social media is worth the investment, you need to start having the social mindset and embedding social within your business throughout. And this will not only help you grow your community, but it will be a great way for you to show your customers and visitors that you are a social company, and that they can always engage with you via social. So I've got two pictures here on the slide. The first one on the left shows very simply an example of an email signature of having the social buttons. And basically the idea is whenever you're communicating with your customers, make it easy for them to find you on social. And what this will do is it will increase your likes and followers and increase your engagement, because people who want to contact you right then and there might prefer to send you a message or a tweet through social than necessarily responding via email. So that's number one. Number two, the image on the right, you can see this is a whole bunch of sharing buttons. And the idea is that whenever you're creating content, if it's on your blog or if it's launching a new product line in your store, everything today should be shareable. And the idea is that if you've got a really great product, put a pin button there so people can pin it, and make it easy for your visitors and your community and your customers to be able to share and spread your awareness. And if you have this mindset in place, everything will work out better for you, because your communities will grow, your profitability will go up, and social media will start working for you throughout the business. Now, the last topic I want to discuss is something which really makes me sad. I see so many businesses today adopting social media, but when it comes to engagement, they do a really, really poor job. And what I really hope that if you don't take anything from my discussion, is that you take this one thing. You really should adopt a mantra if you're going to use social media, which is leave no engagement left behind. And the idea here is that every engagement on social media is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to engage with people on a one-to-one basis, which is just incredible. It's an opportunity to get feedback about your business, your service, and your products. And really, it's a way for you to grow a community, help spread the word, and convert people into customers. If you're engaging on a constant basis, doing a lot of outreach, and really communicating with your supporters, your business will do better, and everything will just fall into place for you. So write this down, leave no engagement left behind, stick it in front of your computer, put it on your wall, in your bathroom, just remember it every time, and be religious about it. Whenever there's a comment on your Facebook page, whenever there's a tweet mentioning your brand, go in there and fight for it. Fight for the engagement, and this will help you do everything better in social media. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening. I really like providing value and seeing more and more online businesses grow. So feel free to reach out to me via email at justin@yotpo.com. Also welcome you to check out our website, yotpo.com. We have an amazing solution for the e-commerce space, and I have no doubt that we can bring you value. And if you would prefer, you can also follow us on Twitter. @Yotpo is our handle, and I'd love to connect and communicate with all of you via any of these communication channels. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Justin. I'm not sure if everyone can hear me. I think so, yes. So hello, Justin, very interesting words that you gave us here. Fresh and insightful. The thing I wanted to share with you all is from having a community moving towards to how to put it to use. Obviously, that is something which is interesting and complex, and there's no sort of guidebook for it on how to do it, but there's some rules that you can apply, and there's obviously some things that you can do to have it working. Just a minute, here we go. So having a community is one thing, but using it is another thing. And as Justin explained, it's a very nice way of getting your name out to the masses and driving traffic to your website or web store. Obviously, you can generate a lot of visibility with it, and a nice extra that comes with it is if you set it up well, it will improve your search results on the internet as well. Well, as a short recap, it's all about the word of mouth. This is where it starts, the most influential thing in the world, and it's been there forever. And it's very nice to see that in these times of all this modern technology, the word of mouth has come back and is taking over the world in such a rapid way. We've all seen all the examples of insane amounts of people looking at videos or at trending topics. It's an interesting thing. People like to talk, and that's what you see back if you look at these figures that I found. Obviously, there's many figures out on the website. This is very recent and accurate data from last month. Sometimes it's even difficult to find out what is relevant still, but there's a few things that are really nice, and these I wanted to point out to you. On top of the screen, you can see that 74% relies on social networks to guide purchase decisions. Can you imagine that, or you can imagine that the power of reviewing and the power of giving information on your social media is very valuable, and being out there, as Justin just explained, and Bertram as well, gives you the opportunity to inform people and provide a framework where these figures could resonate. Another interesting thing that you can see is on the bottom of the screen is that in the UK, a visitor coming from a social media website is 10 times more likely to make a purchase online than the average visitor. Again, here you see the value of what you can do with social media and how valuable it is in your pre-sales process. The other thing which is important is, of course, the opportunity to engage with your customers. I mean, being social is all about being involved and showing that you care, and this is something that you can explicitly do on social media. There's numerous occasions and examples, but what you see is that if you respond to your customers at the moment that they need feedback and you provide this feedback, that you come across as very valuable and honest. And these are things that are needed specifically in the role that you're playing by throwing open your personality literally towards your community. It's all about listening, participating, responding, and engaging. There's many obvious things we know about the share, the like, the tweet, and there's all sorts of successful examples of things that we've seen on the internet. Social media is great for customer feedback and for customer service. Engage with your customers. Make sure, as Justin said, that you leave no engagement behind. There's so many ways where you can provide feedback and win also negative remarks and negative clients out in the open for you, and something that you absolutely should consider doing. The other things that we see are many things like offerings and share and win promotions, previews and sales. Well, the examples are numerous, but what I think is that for actual social commerce and really driving traffic, there's more than only these simple but successful ways. There's also a negative side to the share and win promotions that are being put out lately. And I've done some research, and there's a funny thing, Justin mentioned it out earlier, that there's a valuation towards like. Likes are equaling 130 euros of media value. So if you add up 100 likes, that's 13,000 euros of advertising budget. Obviously, that's a lot of money if you put it in these values. But obviously, there's a big difference between a qualitative and a quantitative group. And what you see is that if you try to use the like and share competition type of promotions, that you can easily win a lot of following, but that this following is completely not authentic, and that it's more like a short-term versus a long-term engagement that you have, and that in the end, your long-term customers will not respect you as much as they used to do. There's another thing that comes with this, and that is that it is against the rules. So what you see is that many people are participating in things like this, but if you look at the strict rules, then you will see that there's a code of conduct for Facebook where they prohibit you to do this and only give you the opportunity to do this when you actually have an app in place which facilitates the process and makes it a more engagement experience. Well, let's take this a step further. I mean, these are all examples that you've heard of, and these are all things that have been done. But the whole thing that is the most important for using Facebook is the credibility that you're building, and especially the authenticality that you can provide. As said before, being honest and being involved, being transparent, that's the thing that really resonates and that helps you in the long term. So if you put it up against the like and win, then you will see in a social context that this again is just short term, and people will like you for the fact that you're offering something short term, but it's nothing to do with the authenticality as you can provide. What we are hoping to do, and the aim should be that we're now in a phase where the see and the like are very common, but we don't make the step to the buy situation. And what we see is that the big idea in social commerce is that you use social media as a utility and create value for your customer and help them solve their problems socially. There's many ways in doing this, and a good example is to obviously learn from the experience of others and therefore help you by making decisions. And a good example for this, and this is a case I wanted to produce and give the microphone back to Justin, is with providing feedback and social reviews on your website or from your web store. The figures underneath on the screen are speaking for itself. 74% more likely to buy when a friend endorses, and 77% of shoppers use social reviews before they actually go over to buy a product. So you can imagine the value of this. Justin, I hope you can get the microphone via our system back to you and explain us a little bit more about this.
Thanks, Thijs. Well, thank you for mentioning Otpo and giving me the opportunity to briefly discuss how the service works and how, like you mentioned, it can be used to get feedback and automate your word-of-mouth marketing. So briefly, how Yotpo works is the following. Once you've installed the service into your online store and connected everything up correctly, every time a customer makes a purchase in your store, Yotpo is going to take that information and automatically send an email to the customer a certain number of days after they've made the purchase. So by default, it's 14 days, but you have the freedom to change it to any time frame that you prefer. And what this does is, say 14 days after a purchase is made, Yotpo will send an email to the customer, and within the email there'll be a form embedded. It's part of Yotpo's technology. And what we do is we allow the customer to write their review right within the email. And this has been proven to drastically increase the quantity of reviews that are produced. Some stores, some of our customers convert over 12% of their customers to reviews, which is a very, very high percentage. So what happens is that after the customer writes the review is shown within the admin of Yotpo, and the Yotpo user can then go in, review the review. If it looks right, if everything looks good, they can publish it to their site. It looks really, really nice in a highly customizable widget on the website. And then as well, either manually or automatically, they can push that review to their business's Facebook page or Twitter account. And what this does is the community can then see the product, they can read the review, they can engage with it, they can share it, they can like it, they can retweet it. And even stronger, they can click on the link, go back to the store, and actually see the product and make a purchase. And what Yotpo basically does is, as I mentioned, we automate your word-of-mouth marketing. So it's like a cycle. A customer will write the review is sent to social fans and followers will go back to the store. They will become customers. A certain percentage of them will convert. and they will then write a review, and you have this ongoing cycle, which is very powerful. It's one of the best ways to bring return traffic to your website, and we're bringing huge amounts of value to our customers, a big increase in sales. We help increase conversion rates by about 12% on average, and the service is really bringing massive amount of value to small, medium e-commerce sites. So thank you, Thijs. I'll give it back to you. And if anybody has any questions about Yotpo, once again, you can contact me through the channels that I mentioned, and I know we'll have some Q&A at the end. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Perfect. Thank you, Justin, for explaining a little more on this. Another case I wanted to present you is out of our own confines, and that's the Give It case. And it's not so much that we want to sell you this product right away. It is available from halfway in October from the App Store on Sales Shop and also on other platforms. And basically, it provides the opportunity to give gifts from your web store, and along that concept, share the gifts through social media, and with that generate traffic and attention for your product. So in this case as well, it's an example of putting social media to use in another form than the generic ways that we've discussed earlier. The way that we do this is via a button, which is on the same level as the tweet, like, and the pin it button. It provides the possibility to add it to a product in your website, and enabling to give this product to friends via, for instance, social media or email. And it's a fun thing because in generic or in the brick and mortar retail world, we see that gifting is a large part of their turnover. And it's actually strange that it's not being facilitated or supported in the most of the web stores. So there's some big platforms, obviously, that provide this, but most recently I bought a gift for my little son. And when it came in, I chose for nice wrapping paper, and the wrapping paper came along with the package instead of having the package actually being wrapped. So that's a fun thing on how you see that it's not really well adapted into the e-commerce world. The way that we work is very simple. You can put this button on your website anywhere, and if you click it, a widget will load, completely customizable throughout your website, and it gives you the opportunity to choose a network or email, and from there on choose a friend. And after you've chosen this friend, you can add a message, an email address, and you can pay for the product. What happens now is that this product is being shared, or this gift is being shared on Facebook or on Twitter or LinkedIn, if you will, and it provides attention within your network and also in the network of the receiver. Therefore, pushing this product in a very, very authentic way, because obviously this is completely different than seeing that someone likes a big brand without any reason and probably has been bought over to like it. This is authentic. Something you give is something you mean, and therefore it's something valuable. And that's what reflects on people that see this. The person that gets it, the receiver, can accept the gift, and again, it's in a branded in a branded website from your web store. And after they accepted the gift, they can still put up a message on Facebook or on the other social media types, thanking for the product, and again bringing up your name and your product name. The fun thing is that this is more authentic than like, as I just said. It's a fun and engaging way of dealing with a brand or a product, and using social media in a different way than we're used to. And the result that we're seeing is that it's something that will be posted on the timelines, and therefore is on top of mind of people, and people will recall this action, and therefore putting your store in a positive context. In short, it drives sales, it creates visibility, and is right in the networks of your customers, and therefore has more value for your brand, because these people are probably more likely to buy a gift that they've seen from friends, as they trust reviews of others to make their decisions on. What we've seen, and that is to give you an impression on how this worked, is that a small brand that we're working with gave away a few of their products just to launch the product and bring them into the attention of their social media network. Now, they were part of a group which was set up for a good cause, and these bracelets that were being sold were providing money for this good cause. And the group had 500 Facebook friends, and these Facebook friends were given 20 of these bracelets. So what you see is that these bracelets have been given out, and they were right into the networks of a few of the members of this social media group. Now, what happened is that the other persons in this group or in these networks, also outside the network of the organization, saw the product being given and liked the concept of the product. They saw the product picture, and from there on responded to this gift, and therefore driving traffic to their website, people becoming a member of this group, and also giving away this gift towards other people's outside of the group. So what you saw is sort of a viral effect that started off, or sort of a snowball effect, if you will, started off with giving away 20 small products and generating a massive amount of new likes and people actually buying the product. Another thing that we've seen is a party that has given away many Christmas trees, and these Christmas trees were very cheap. And the same thing actually happened. From one came another. People heard about Christmas trees being given away for a small amount of money. You could buy one yourself as well. So people started sharing this, and from there on, again, it drove a lot of traffic to the site, a lot of likes to their Facebook page, and a lot of exposure for the brand doing this. So these are examples of a different way of approaching social media, and just like Justin with their social reviewing, we're keeping our eyes open for smart new concepts that are happening, which drive the sales on Facebook. A few tips that I can give you and that you can keep in mind, but obviously there's many, and if you look around on the internet, you can find thousands of examples, and also many examples of big brands that have done it very cleverly, but probably spend a lot of money to it. But also without spending a lot of money, I think you can be very valuable on Facebook, and the most important things that I've came across are mentioned here. As said, listen, talk, engage. Make sure you're involved. Make sure that you respond to people. Tell them about things. Don't try to sell your product, but as Justin pointed out as well earlier, make sure that you engage with them on the level that they're communicating and the interests that they are in, the fields of interest that they are dealing with. Be sure that you're yourself. You can advertise, like Justin mentioned, and a fun thing is that if you give a lot of stuff away, that people will be able to engage with you and come back to you to see what you're providing. And the last and the most important thing, I think, is being grateful for the people that the customers that you're having and that are liking your brand. Make sure that you stick around with them and give them the attention that they need, and you will be sure that you have a lifelong client relationship. There's a fun book that I came across, wanted to point it out to you. It's the Social E-Commerce Handbook. It's really focused on converting from your social media pages and efforts into buyers. Maybe it's something which might be of interest. It's for sale on Amazon, and check it out. So thank you, and hereby I give the microphone back to Bertram. That might finalize this talk. Obviously, if there's any questions, we can answer them later.
Great. Okay, so I will go through the questions that I'm seeing here. I'm going to show my screen first. Here we go. The first question is from Maaike Sterke, and she's asking, is asking questions to followers a good idea? No yes or no questions, but a question that they can relate to. Like, what do you eat this morning? Well, maybe to give an example, actually, I think it's a good idea. a couple of days ago, we actually used this as well to get examples for the slides for today. And we asked our customers if they could send us their successful social media campaigns. And we got quite a bit of response that we could use today. So I would say that it's definitely a good idea. But yeah, what about Justin? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. It's a great way to increase engagement, get people to respond and give you feedback. You've got to be a bit careful though, because if you overdo it, it can get a bit dull and do more harm than good. What I recommend doing is once you know your community and what people really enjoy about your brand, if it's certain products or other things, is to use that in the questioning. So as an example, is if I'm selling dresses online and there's a certain dress which gets a lot of social media attention, then to ask a question around that dress, and this way it will maximize the engagement.
Great. Thijs, do you have something to add to it?
Yes. Sorry, you guys are here? You hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thijs?
Seems like we lost him.
I think so. Okay. Shall we move on to the next question then for now? Maybe it's better, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a question for Justin. Is it possible to see which customers received a mail after purchases?
Unfortunately, it's not possible. And the reason is from a product standpoint, it's a bit of an issue because we have some of our customers are sending thousands of these mails every month. So from a product standpoint, it is a bit of an issue. So we don't actually give that information. But what I do want to add is that whenever a review is written by a customer, our service will send an email to the owner of the account showing the actual review, the name of the person that wrote the review, if that's been, if we have that information, and also the email of the person who wrote the review. And this makes it easy for you to go in and publish the review. And also, if you want to right then and there send an email to the reviewer, you can do that.
Perfect. Thijs, are you actually back again?
Yes, I'm back. Somehow it muted. I'm sorry.
You got muted. Well, if you want, we can go back to the previous question for a second. About I'll actually mention the question again. Is asking questions to followers a good idea? No yes or no questions, but a question they can relate to. What do you think?
Sorry, again?
Sorry. Is asking questions to followers a good idea? So no yes or no questions, but a question they can relate to, like what did you eat this morning?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I believe it's a very good. I believe it's a very good thing in asking questions towards your following and your community. I think being authentic is all about involving your user group or your community and asking them what they think about your products. Maybe you can help them, or maybe they can help you even straighten out product flaws, for instance. Or you can involve them by making them decide on how, for instance, a new collection would be named, or which products would be in this next collection. I think being out there in the open and having a community and engaging with your community is very valuable, and that therefore, if your community can in some way influence your behavior as well, or enrich your behavior, that's very valuable, and also for the customers, it's a very nice experience.
Perfect. Actually, I have another question for you, guys.
Yeah.
It's one from Christy. She's asking, is Give It in our app store already?
Thank you, Christy. That's a very relevant question. Unfortunately, we will be only available halfway through October. So I'll be glad if you send me a message on Thijs at Give It to keep you informed on what is going on. It will be released soon, very soon.
Okay. Question from Claudia, also for you, Thijs, actually. What's the pricing and how do you handle returns?
These are two things that are interesting. To start with the pricing, our product is free as well, especially if you sign up now from the Sales Shop App Store. As soon as we're live, the first month it will be free to use, and then we will charge, I think, €2 for it from the App Store per month. Then you'll be able to set it up and use it, and with every transaction we will ask you a small percentage of 4% and 40 cents per transaction being paid to us. So that's the pricing part. Now you have to consider that we are handling the transaction, so you do not have any transaction costs anymore. So therefore it will only cost you literally, I think, 5 cents and 5% on the total sales sum. Now I forgot what the second question was, Bertram.
How do you handle returns?
Oh yeah, returns. Well, the thing is, our product works very simple. It's an order being postponed. So someone makes an order and gives it to someone else, and in this process, the receiver has to accept the gift. As soon as the receiver has accepted the gift will be shot into your order management system and will be treated as a regular order. So the way you can return it is exactly the same way as you deal with returns from your other customers and regularly from your shop.
Thanks. A question from Joris Hogendoorn for Justin. He says, I understood Yotpo doesn't support rich snippets in SEO Shop. Is this true, and will this be added in the future?
Well, thank you for the question. At the moment, Yotpo doesn't support rich snippets for SEO Shop. There's been a lot of demand for it, a lot of people asking about it. So I have actually, I think 2 weeks ago already, brought this up with our head of our product, who's looking into it. You know, we have quite a long product roadmap, and things do take time to be added. But we understand, we've heard the demand for it. One thing to keep in mind, though, that especially in regards to rich snippets, sometimes it's not possible, not because we don't want to do it, but because of limitations with the APIs of the platforms we work with. So I think right now we're checking into this, seeing if the API of SEO Shop supports it, and if it does, hopefully it'll be added in the future. Unfortunately, I don't have a timeline when it's going to be added, but we, like I mentioned, we do understand there's big demand, and we want to bring you what you want and what will bring value.
Perfect. A question from Paul. Let me see. It has been proven that remarketing has by far the highest conversion rate compared to other online marketing strategies. Is social media a good channel to use remarketing tricks? That's a nice one. Does anyone have a good answer to that one?
I'll jump in. It's true that remarketing has high conversions. It's a very interesting question in regards to social media. I would think that the effect would be less, because when we're on social media, we usually are on social media to communicate with people we know. It's not the same as engaging with content or making purchases if we're on an online store. So that's number one. Number two, the thing with remarketing, often you have to embed code so that Google, whichever platform you're using, knows which sites you visited in the past. And with social media, I mean, unless you're running your own Facebook app or maybe a special app that allows for the integration, you're not actually going to be able to embed the code. So I'm not even sure on the technical aspect if it's possible with most of the platforms. But it's an interesting question. I'm sure there'll be more written about it in the future.
Perfect. I actually think, let me see, maybe I have one more. Yeah, this is like one actually only for Thijs, but I will take this one offline. I think we're out of questions actually. So that means that we can close the webinar. Everyone for joining, and I want to thank obviously Justin and Thijs for being part of it today as well. Again, if you have any questions, you can reach us by email and also by Twitter. And yes, we hope that you will come to our next webinars again. Many thanks.
Thank you as well.
Thanks, Bertram. Thanks, Thijs. And thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Counterwise. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.